Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. This is Julie Bruns, and you are about to be inspired. I am so excited to share my conversations with amazing people from all walks of life who figured out how to be happy, peaceful, and content doing work they love and making the world a better place so that you can see what's possible for your life. I can't wait to hear what you think. Send me an email and let me know one thing you're taking away from this episode. And never forget, anything really is possible. All right, welcome everyone to this episode. I'm here with Ronny Leber. Hi, Ronny.
Hi, Julie.
Nice to see you. So Ronny and I were connected through someone on his team reached out to me to see if we could, number one, if you wanted to be on my show, if I wanted to have you on my show. My podcast. And I always say to people that reach out to me, which is kind of fun for me now to have people reaching out, I say, my only prerequisite is he or she needs to love what they do and want to talk about it. And of course, that's you. And we chatted back. We've been trying to schedule this for several months. So here we are, finally in the spring of 2022 chatting. And I'm excited to meet you. So welcome today.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here with you. And I'm excited also for everybody here listening to us. I'm sure it's going to be your while worth. It's going to be worthwhile. Let's say that.
Tell everyone your accent. Whenever I hear an accent, I love whenever I worked at global companies and I get someone on the phone, I'm like, I need to know where the accent's from. So tell people, because I'm sure they're curious like me.
Where are you right now?
Chicago.
All right. So my accent actually comes from Vienna, Austria, or let's say Austria. I mean, everybody is familiar with the former governor from the state of California, who is also from Austria.
Okay. Yeah, it does sound like that. I didn't think about that. All right, cool. And then where are you now? Do you live there?
I do.
Okay. So it's late night for you, or later anyways.
Well, it's later, but it's
not too bad.
Fine. I'm used to that.
All right, so let's jump in. First of all, tell everyone what you do so that they can kind of get an idea of who they're talking to, what you do, your business, your job. And did you always, after you do that, did you always see yourself with the career you have now? Or was it like almost all my guests, a very windy road to get where you are today?
Well, first of all, I'm going to answer the second question first. So no is the clear answer for that. What do I do? I actually, in the last 14 years, I had the privilege to entertain more than 5 million people live on 5 continents. And first, actually, so one of the things that I do and what I got started with was being a stadium announcer for big events in sports, primarily in sports in the beginning. And like from being the stadium announcer for our national team in soccer, for the Austrian Cup final, for an ATP tennis tournament, I've hosted the American Football World Championship, ice hockey. I did our professional ice hockey team in Vienna for 9 years, and I'm a boxing ring announcer. So it's all kinds of different things, like in terms of in the world of sports. But at the same time, then came the business world, me hosting business events, and then I started actually to put all of this into a keynote speech, and then I became a keynote speaker, and then the pandemic hit, and I actually came along of then going on TV because there were no events, and so in the last 14 months, I've had the opportunity to be 1,400 or 1,500 hours, about 1,500 hours live on TV, and gained quite some experience, and it was just an incredible ride, and I'm very happy about that. And so to answer your question once again, no, there was never actually a plan of mine. I studied sports and economics, and I mean, that's not normally what you study if you then afterwards go into like broadcasting or being an event host. And there was not even in my box or in my mindset, it was not like, who does that and how do you even become that? So it was no, that was for sure not my path.
That's so cool. I've never talked to anyone. We have them in the United States too, obviously sports announcers and all kinds of cool sports that people announce for and broadcast for, but I've never talked to anyone. My kids are going to be excited because they're older, they're in their 20s, but they're going to be excited because they've been around sports and interested in them forever. Especially my younger son. Well, they both have been interested forever, but my younger son especially is interested in possibly broadcasting and calling games and stuff like that. So it'll be fun for him to talk to you. It's just such a cool, like, you might grow up saying, I want to be a, sportscaster or announcer, but no one would ever say, okay, so you enroll in this school and you get this degree and then you go work here. That's not how a sports announcer works, right? It's kind of funny that you studied economics with your sports. I have an economics degree too. Economics and marketing is my undergrad, but it's funny because you don't really know when you're done what you're going to do, but people are always saying to you, oh, you're studying that in college. So what are you going to do with that? You're like, I don't know. I'm just going for the things that I'm interested in, which is obviously something you did. And it worked out well for you because you got to be in that arena, literally and figuratively, for a long time.
Well, first of all, when you were just saying that, actually, I never thought about like, yeah, I want to be a sportscaster. I always wanted to be an athlete, but
Okay.
not, like I wanted the guy who the sportscaster talks about it, not the sportscaster. So that was not ever in my mindset. But actually, and if you want to know, I can share the story how that happened.
Please.
So basically, when I was getting done with my studies. At university, I was asking myself, well, okay, all right. So what do you want to do now? Because I always worked also along the way to finance my studies and those kind of things. But then, like, you're doing some jobs for some time, and I didn't just do any like not just normal university jobs, but at the same time, I knew that I was not going to do those jobs long term. So I was working a few years in sales, and then I was working a few years in actually educating unemployed people. And they were a great learning experience for me. But at the same time, I knew that this is not going to be the stuff that I do forever. Yeah. And so then I thought, well, all right, so I have done some things, but at the same time, so I had some experience there and there and there, like always just, let's say, some scratches on the surface. Yeah. But I also knew, like, if you really want to get paid in something, you need to be an expert in something. Sure. And then I thought, well, okay, that's a great concept, but what do you want to be an expert in? Yeah. And I was always interested in many things, but I thought just being interested is not enough. Right. Like I want to do something that I'm really passionate about. Yep. Like not just interested, but where I really feel like, man, this is the fire that's burning inside of me. Yes. This like what's really, really, really keeping me up at night, or like what's making me go, even when it's not about the money, or when it's just like, hey, I just love doing that. Right. I thought, that's what I want to do. But what is it? What is it that I'm passionate about? Yeah, and I mean, that's quite, I mean, some people never figure it out. No. And I was like, man, okay, what is it? And so I started to dig. I started to ask myself questions over and over again for weeks and months. I was asking myself the same questions over and over again. Questions like, what do I love to do in my free time? What do I spend money on? Yeah. What is moving me emotionally? What do I talk about with my friends? Yeah. What is it when I was a little kid that was already moving me? Like all those kind of things. I was asking myself over and over again. When I was driving in the car, I was asking myself, or like every week, or like I was thinking about that. What is it? What is it that you're passionate about? Yeah. And somehow, oh, and one more thing about that, because before that, I always thought, well, where can I make money? Yeah. And then I said, you know what? Let's just take the money thing from the table right now. Like, let's just focus on what you're passionate about, because I also had this belief inside of me that if you're really passionate about something, then you're gonna become good at it. You're gonna grow. You're gonna learn, and you want to learn, and you're gonna get better at it. And if you're gonna get better, if you're gonna be the best at something, or maybe even the best in the world, you're never ever gonna have to think about how to make money, because you're gonna find a way to monetize it. Yeah. And so then I thought, okay, great. So let's just, the money is, well, it's gonna solve itself. So let's just think about, what am I passionate about? Yeah. And then what it came down to was that when I was a little kid already, I was always fascinated about events that bring the whole world together. like a soccer World Cup or like the Olympic Games, where you have the feeling that in this moment or in those few weeks, the whole world in a way centers around that.
Yeah.
And everybody's talking about it and you're so into it. Or when you go to a concert, for example, when you go to a concert, you're not thinking about, oh yeah, I got a hairdresser's appointment tomorrow or something. Oh, I need to write a text message. No, you're totally there. You're totally in it.
Right.
And I just love that. And then I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew, hey, this is the environment that I want to work in. I love that, because if you work in an environment that you love, it's going to be fun and it's going to be really, really cool. And it's going to be exciting.
I have a couple of questions. So number one, did you have, do you have in Austria, I don't know what it's like in Europe. I'm related to some people that grew up in Europe, but I never asked this question. Is it a big thing for you guys to do career assessments in high school and in college to figure out your propensities and your skills and traits for a future career? Do you guys do that? It's a big thing in the United States. It's not as big as I think it should be, but do you take assessments?
I never did that.
Okay.
I mean, obviously you can do that, but for example, when in the US, you go, when you're 14 years old, you go to high school and you choose your classes. I was in high school for a year in the US, so I know the system. And here it's like, when you're 14 years old, you can either go to let's say a general high school where you get a general education, or you can already put an emphasis on something, go to a business school where you get like a business school high school or a technical school, and like you can choose already the direction that you want to go. And for me, it was always like, yeah, I'm gonna go into the business track.
Okay. And then did you have mentors? Because you're like, sound a lot like me, where I'm constantly was asking myself these questions. I didn't really have people around me asking me them. I just knew I needed to ask myself stuff like, what am I passionate about? What do I really want to do? What can I not stop thinking about, learning about, et cetera? Did you have people in your life, either teachers or close family or friends, encouraging you to do that? Or were you just kind of self-motivated, all those questions? I'm just curious.
That's actually a great question, Julian. And now that you bring it up, more than half of my life I spent with Tony Robbins. So basically, I'm also a trainer for Tony Robbins. And since I was, when I was 20 years old, I actually started to read a book of his. And then when I was 21, I went to his first seminar. And then like basically back then I took a loan to go to his seminars. And I just got out of school. I had basically no money. And then I was flying halfway around the world to go to different seminars of his, which was definitely an inspiration for me. And also something where I had this belief inside of me already from a very young age that there is always a way. Like whatever you put your mind to it, there's going to be a way to do it. It's just about figuring out what is it that you really want? What is it that really is a must for you?
Yes, there's always a way. I love that too, which is why I wrote my book. When people say, that's not possible, or hasn't been done yet. How do you know you can, or whatever? It's like, no. I always turn away from those people, because just because they can't see it doesn't mean it's not possible. And just because they can't see it for you doesn't mean you're not able to do it. And yeah, so I'm sorry. So you were always around that.
Just picking up on that, what you were saying, when I was single and I went on different dates, I remember, for example, if somebody told me like, and I was sharing my goals and they were like, you cannot do that. Or like, no, you can, that was it. Forget it. Like you just wiped yourself out. Cancer. Because first of all, you need to believe in yourself, and you don't need to have people around there to tell you what you cannot do, because who are they to tell you what you can or cannot do? You are the only person in your life that is able to tell what is possible for you or not, what is realistic for you or not, what you can or cannot do.
You're right. 100%. And I knew that also, like you, like innately when I was younger, I just had these, I would ask myself these questions, and I knew there's a way, like you said, there's always a way to get closer to the thing you want to get, even though like maybe for some reason it's not all the way possible for whatever. I mean, obviously there's extenuating circumstances, but that doesn't mean you couldn't have something similar, or there's some combination of it that you can do. So it's just interesting when I talk to people. Most of the people I talk to, I want to say it's been more innate like this, that these conversations we're having, that I have on my podcast. I haven't really talked to a lot of people that said, oh yeah, people all around me supporting me, people all around me mentoring me. Most of the time, it's just one or two people that said the right thing at the right time, or that asked the right question. And then that was all they needed to go, okay, well then I'm going to go over here and try this. Right. Right.
Absolutely.
Fascinating. Okay. So as you were being, an announcer and going to these events and getting into this world that you were so enthralled with and excited about, what was keeping you? A lot of people will say they weren't all the way, all the time, happy, peaceful, and content. But obviously, if you're going from thing to thing and you're getting better and you get to do more of these events that you love doing and have these jobs that you love doing, you obviously were growing and moving around to where you wanted to be. What was keeping you happy, peaceful, and like confident and successful along the way as you were approaching each one of these new roles?
I would say knowing what I want to do and knowing why I want to do it. Like those were two things, because when I think back, and I mean, I didn't even finish the story how I actually got started then, but the point was, at some point I figured out what I want to do. Yeah. Like, because I kind of by coincidence got into what I was doing, and suddenly I was in front of, okay, not suddenly, but there came a point where I was in front of a few thousand people at a time. And then that was the turning point for me, where I thought, this is what I want to do. This is incredible. I love doing that. And then I was doing I was educating myself. I was doing a speaker's education, a voice education. I went to take acting lessons. I took singing lessons. I even went to a comedian workshop. Like I did everything that you need on stage. I did dancing, everything. And just to be better in entertaining other people and taking other people on a journey. And of course, there are always setbacks. There are always things, especially in the beginning, like when you want to make something happen, you have a dream. Yeah. Nobody knows you. You know nobody, basically. Yeah. And also not a lot of people believe in you. Like it's just you, hey, I want to do this, or like calling somebody, doing a lot of empty miles, I would say in the beginning, where you're like, man, this is so tough, or like, come on, there's got to be a faster way, or like it's not moving the speed that you want it to move. Yeah. And at the same time, then you're like, all right, well, anyway, I know why I'm doing it. I know that I can do it. I know it's gonna happen. I just need to work on it. Yeah. I just need to like put the time and effort in. Yeah, you're right. Work on it, time and effort. And like you said, the timing's not happening as you want. That doesn't mean you give up. That just means, all right, you have to stick with it a little bit longer. You're gonna have to be a little bit more patient. There's always divine timing, and things always happen, I think, when they're supposed to anyways, but obviously we all have our own timeline, and we want things when we want them, and that's human nature. But it is the persevering, the persisting, and that determination is really what, who was, Jack Canfield, this quote about, Chicken Soup for the Soul, that whole series, it was like 140, around 140, 138, whatever it was. People said no to that book and that series, publishers. And finally, the 140th person said yes, and then the rest is history. They sold, it's a best-selling series, I think, of all time, Chicken Soup for the Soul. But people ask him, why didn't you give up? Why? And he's like, because I didn't have what I wanted yet. And if he had given up at 135 or 136 or 137, no, we wouldn't have that series. But he just said, it was easy not to give up. I didn't have what I wanted yet. I can very much relate to that. And I can share a beautiful story around this perseverance as well. It was on the 4th of November in 2018, and it was at 10:20 in the morning. I was standing in Staten Island, New York, just on the foot of the bridge going to Brooklyn, and it was the New York City Marathon, and it was a dream of mine, like a lifetime dream to run a marathon in New York. And at that time, I knew I actually should not be here, because I had some injuries coming up, like before the marathon. The last 3 months before the marathon, I was only able to run longer than 1 hour once. The the last 4 weeks before the marathon, I wasn't able to run at all. Like I was at the orthopedic every week, and he told me like 3.5 weeks before the marathon, you know what? If you're now not going to do anything for the next 4 months, you're going to be good. I said, in 4 weeks. I said, well, that's great, but in 4 weeks is the marathon. Like, and so I didn't do anything, and I was at the start, and I hadn't run for like several weeks, and not really practiced like I wanted to for more than 3 months.
Wow.
Then I said to myself, you know what? You need to forget about everything that you know, or that you believe that you know about a marathon right now.
Right.
Like forget everything that you believe you know, and just see how it goes, and just take it one step at a time. Like, don't think ahead, don't think of what's going to happen, because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yep.
Just let's see where it is. And I also knew that, like, if it would have been in Vienna, for example, where I'm from, I would have said, all right, see you next year. But it was a dream. It was something that I really wanted.
Yeah.
And that's how it is oftentimes in life, when it's something you really wanted, not just something that was like, all right, see you next year, or like, nah. But it was something really, really a desire. And I mean, I already made some investment to go there, obviously.
Right.
And so, well, I heard the shot and the start happened. And so I hadn't warmed up before, because I thought, I got more than 26 miles to warm up. So I'm sure I'm going to get warm.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just starting to roll and feeling. And then after, at the 10K point, that was like at around 7 miles or something, I was still feeling okay, but like a mile later, I felt, man, my muscles are getting hard.
Yeah.
And then around mile 8, I felt that the pain is starting.
Okay.
And I thought, damn, that's a bit early, actually. We're just 1/3 into the marathon.
Yeah.
And I already got the pain. But then I thought, all right, the pain is just in my head. And as long as it's just in my head, I can go through. Like I can keep moving forward. And so I was just, all right, let's see. I was moving forward and running and running and running. And then there was the bridge from Brooklyn to Queens. That was the half marathon point.
Okay.
And I remember at that point, I consciously took the decision that I'm going to finish this today. I'm going to finish. If there is not like an injury happening or something, I'm going to finish.
Oh, wow.
And I got slower and slower and slower. I remember when I was in the Bronx, there was like 3/4 of the marathon was done. And I looked at my Garmin watch, and suddenly, like, where there was my time and everything, and suddenly it said session ended. And I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean session ended? I still have 11 kilometers to go, like 7-8 miles. I mean, come on. And so I knew that for the last 11 kilometers, I was like, normally I would walk faster than I was. I was so slow. Then at the end, 5th Avenue in New York, next to Central Park, it was 15 blocks uphill. And I was already completely wasted. I had like some kind of fever. I was crying at times because I was overwhelmed with my feelings.
Yeah.
But I always said to myself, the whole time while I was running, I said, I'm going to get there as long as I keep moving forward. Because as long as I keep moving forward, I will eventually get there.
Yes.
And then after, believe me or not, 6 hours, 14 minutes, 58 seconds, I finally got there. And of course, it was not something where it was like, oh, wow, that's an amazing time. But who cares?
Right.
I made it.
Yep.
And I was so exhausted, but at the same time, I was so happy. And it's a perfect metaphor for life. Because things don't always go the way that you want them to go. But as long as you keep moving forward, you will eventually get there.
You will eventually get there. I love that. I love that the gun went off and you were like, all right, forget whatever else you know, because right now you're in this moment and all you literally can do is put one foot in front of the other. All of the stuff you know or don't know or think you know goes out the window. Like, you have to do it. Your body has to do it. Your mind has to do it. All that other stuff doesn't matter right now. And if someone was standing next to you going, you're probably never going to finish, or you can do it either way. You have to believe that you can do it. That is a really cool story. That's awesome. You had to be so proud when you were done, like said, exhausted, but exhilarated, right? Like you decided, I'm finishing this, and you did it.
My wife was there with me, and she was like at the road at 10 kilometers and then at 37 kilometers out of 42. And she was like, okay, I didn't tell you that up front, but I never ever thought that you're going to finish this. And she was like really amazed of what the mind can do.
Yes. She's so smart not to have told you that, even though she thought it. But of course, she probably was just thinking in her head, like, she didn't want you to be disappointed or to fail or whatever. But it's like, no, it wouldn't matter what she said, because you had already just decided you're going to try it or do it. Exactly. Do it. Wow. That's an awesome story. Oh gosh. So we are coming up at the end of our time. So I wanted to see, so why, if you can answer one or two of these questions at the end, you decide which order. So one of them, you have to brag. So what's the greatest gift you, Ronny Leber, offers the world every day? And what's one thing you're going to be taking away, you know, something from our conversation today? What's one new thing or favorite insight you're taking away from our conversation today?
You know what I'm going to start with the second one. What I take away is that I feel that you are just such a beautiful, lighthearted spirit that is like, just, you know, and I've been to quite some podcast interviews, and just the way that you're interacting with me is, I feel very, very well taken care of. And it's like, it feels like a casual conversation, but still guided. And that is just beautiful also for me to open up. And that's something that I really like, and that I really think, hey, that's awesome.
Awesome.
That's really cool. And I'm very happy about that. And
the greatest gift you offer the world every day. Not what other people would say it is. What do you say it is?
You know, I believe that the greatest gift that I bring to the world every day is my ability to entertain, empower, and transform other people. To take them on a journey from where they are to where they want to go, and to take them on an emotional journey. And that's something that I believe that I'm really, 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 really great at.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you for answering that so completely, because some people just, it's hard for them, or it's hard for everyone to answer that question. But most of the time, you know what it is, because it's the thing that you're doing in your life every day. And that's, you know, the thing you're really good at. And not enough people, I don't think not enough people embrace that and celebrate that. Because I think we're always trying to figure out what we're not good at so we can improve things. But just do what you're good at. I mean, you can always get better at these little things, but if you do what you're really good at and what your gift is every day, life is a lot easier, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And do what you love, and you're going to get good at it.
Yes, that's awesome. So I'm going to ask you this just because we have another minute. I didn't realize you worked with Tony Robbins and were a trainer of his for a long time. What's like the one biggest lesson you learned from him? And what's the one thing that sticks in your mind the most? I'm a big fan, and I've read a bunch of his books and all kinds of stuff for years, but like he's very inspirational. He had a hard life growing up, but he's so motivational and inspirational, but there's so many good nuggets with him. Like, what's something that's always stuck with you, or that's like one of the biggest things you've learned from him, from his teachings?
One of the biggest things for me is that in every moment in time, in every moment, every second of your day, you have three choices that you're making, consciously or unconsciously. The first one is, what do you focus on? Because at any given moment, you have millions of things that you can focus on.
Yeah.
Focus on something that you see, and it's also like, okay, what am I really looking at? You can focus on something that you hear, that you feel, that you maybe feel on your skin. Maybe it's on your breathing, or it's on your heartbeat, or it's on something that's running down your skin.
Yeah.
Or you focus on something, on a memory that you got from the past, or you focus on something in the future. And oftentimes this stuff happens unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can take the unconscious and make it conscious, then you can really decide on what you want to focus on. So that's the first decision that you're making every single moment.
Yeah.
The second decision is, when you know what you focus on, what does that mean? Like something that is in your attention right now, in your focus, you give it a meaning.
Yeah.
And everybody is going to give a different meaning to it, depending on your model of the world.
Yeah.
And for you also, this is a choice to decide what does it mean.
Yes.
And if you want to create an empowering story, give it an empowering meaning.
Yes.
And so after what you focus on and what does it mean, the third decision that you're going to do at every single moment is, what are you going to do about it? And even if you do nothing, also that's a choice.
Yeah.
What are you going to do because of what you focus on and what that means to you? And those three decisions are basically running your life every single moment.
I love that. I love what you said about the meaning. I forget, I was listening to a podcast over the summer, last summer, and they said, I think she was a counselor or some person that, I forget what podcast it was, but they were saying, like, every time when you're assigning meaning to whatever's happening to you, the universe wants you to interpret every situation the most positive way you can. So when someone said, well, that could mean like you're going to start the marathon, your wife could have said, well, I don't know if you can finish it. That could be positive or negative. You could have said, thanks. You just challenged me and now I'm going to do it. But people will say, you know, they get negative, or maybe I shouldn't, or people doubt themselves or whatever. And there's all kinds of obviously examples of this. And this is why I stay away from the news and all of that stuff, because it's negative. It's not going to help you get what you want, where you want. Certainly not going to help you feel better about your life and more energized and more excited and more wanting to persevere. Right. But the universe really does want you to consider every situation the most positive way, interpret it the most positive way you can. So that's stuck with me. And I read a lot and I listen to a lot of things. So I always have new, cool, inspiring things coming towards me. But that day I was like, you know what? That's a much better way to live, to consider that's, you know, even if someone's trying to be, it doesn't seem so nice to you, you can interpret it in a positive way. You can change the meaning of it for yourself. And that's going to change your experience. And then what are you going to do about it? And if you're thinking about it in a positive way, all of the other things, and now it's fun. If you do the opposite and think about anything that someone says to you in a negative way, you just spiral. And then you're not going to do that next thing that's going to get you to your goal or make you feel better or have a great experience or anything. So you're so right. We always have a choice about the meaning we assign to something, always.
And when you change the meaning, you're going to change your life.
Yeah. I love that. You change the meaning of it, you change your life. Great way to end it, Ronny. Thank you. Okay, so how can people, so you're on the TV a lot, is this in Europe? How can people find your work and work with you and come to your events and all of that? What's the best way to do that?
Well, first of all, if you want to work with me, there are different things that you can work with me for. Obviously, as a host for events or for TV shows or something, as well as, and I'm actually looking also into opportunities in the US right now. Also as a keynote speaker, that's another opportunity. And of course, also I do coach people. I coach CEOs. I also coach people that want to be a keynote speaker or that have a message, that already have an audience, but maybe they are shifting they're transitioning their career from, for example, they've been in the corporate world and they have been doing something for a long time, maybe been on the top of the ladder, and now they want to do something else. Okay. And then also helping them in this transformation. Or as a professional athlete, for example, there comes a point when you're not going to be able to do it anymore, right? Unless you're Tom Brady. But besides that, there is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But besides that, then you already have a following. You have people. You have an audience. Mm-hmm. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? And what are you going to do with that? What is the message that you want to bring out to the world? What is it, who you really are? And those are things that I'm helping people with. And also I have a blog as well for people. If you just want to learn something about me or from me, go to my website, ronnyleber.com. And I guess we're going to have the links into the show notes. Yeah. And you can find a blog there and just get inspired, everything about how to wow your audience.
How to wow your audience. It's awesome. Well, thank you for the work you're doing and your positive energy and and outlook. I really appreciate it. You're just the type of person I love talking to, because this is just more proof that there's all kinds of ways to love your life and have a really good life that you love, doing all different kinds of work. So you're just more proof of it. So thank you for your time today. I really liked speaking with you. It was a great conversation.
It was great too as well. I'm looking forward to connecting with you again. And
yeah, staying connected for sure. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Bye. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. I hope you loved this episode. Don't forget to like us, subscribe, review, and share it. I hope you were truly inspired. And for a little more inspiration, don't forget to pick up my book, Peace, Possibilities, and Perspective: 8 Secrets to Serenity and Satisfaction in Your Life and Career. I can't wait to get you loving your life.